Welcome to the Stepmom Side with Alicia Crasco, the podcast for stepmoms ready to create the life they want and one they actually have a say in. Here we talk all things stepmom life and just a little bit more. Leave the superficial conversations at the door and get ready for perspective shifts and actionable advice to help you on your way to creating the life you want, one step at a time. Hey, welcome to this week's podcast episode. We are going to talk about the outsider syndrome. And it's something every stepmom feels. You feel like the outsider. You don't feel like you fit in. You struggle with where to fit in. And it's like a vicious cycle because you're like, well, if I'm not going to fit in, then I'm just going to stay here. And it just perpetuates it. So today we'll talk about what is the outsider syndrome? Why does it happen? And how to kind of like get over it and like work through it. So here, the outsider syndrome, in my perspective, is when you come in to being a stepmom, you come into dating somebody that's got kids, and they already have their own life, right? They already have like their little Insta life that you're just like instant familying your way in, right? So they've got like their own inside jokes. They've got their roles, whatever those look like. They've got their way of doing things. They've got their own lingo. They have everything that you would expect them to have, right? And so you're coming in and you don't know any of the inside jokes. You don't know the lingo. You don't know what the looks mean. You don't know how the house is ran. You don't know what everyone's role is. Hell, you don't even know what your own role is. So I kind of liken it to like when you join a friend group and you're the new person and you kind of just like are watching to see what happens and to see like how much of your personality you can let out, like what you can do, like you kind of try to figure out all of the things. So it's kind of like that, only except with like a million times more pressure because you've got the pressure to like be the perfect stepmom, to love the kids like your own, to show up and do all of the things, but not too much because remember, they're not your kids. But don't step back. I mean, like take time for yourself, but don't step back too much because then you're the evil stepmom and you hate them, or you don't care for them, or whatever the case may be. But there's all of this pressure to like instantly like them. And if you're not a kid person, that's really freaking hard. So no pressure. Like just come and like blend with this family. Like how hard could it be? How hard could it be? Like really hard. So it's kind of like outsider syndrome. You feel like you're on the outside and you don't feel like you fit in, and you're trying to, it's almost like you're in high school or like middle school again, and you're trying to figure out like where you fit in. And you're like, I didn't realize that it would be this hard. Yeah, I didn't either. Like everyone is like, it's weird because I feel like an outsider in my own home. Yeah, I see you, girlfriend. Like I totally get it. So the reality of the situation is you are the outsider. You are the person that is newest on the scene, even if you're not the youngest and you're not the kid. Like you are new, you are the outsider. You're coming into a story that's already starting, and now you have to catch up on chapters 1 through 50 or however many chapters there are. And so you're coming in the middle of the story and you need to kind of like catch up. But also there's all this pressure for you to be a parent, for you to be loving, for you to be supportive. You know, like I already talked about, there's all this pressure to like be all of these things. And you're like, I don't even know where I stand. I don't even know where I fit in. I don't even know where I want to fit in, and I don't know how much I want to take on, but you don't really feel like you have the liberty to say that, so you just kind of do all of the things that you feel like are expected of you because that's what good stepmoms do. They just jump right in, head first, not feet first, of course, head first, and do all of the things. And then you find yourself burnt out and resentful and frustrated, and you find yourself walking on eggshells. You find yourself like a shell of your former self. You find yourself maybe like a little more recluse. Maybe you're starting to like pull back. But again, it comes into play because you are the new person, as much as like you might not want to hear that as a stepmom, because I didn't want to hear it either, but you are the new person. So you are the outsider. And if you can just allow yourself to take a deep breath, it's going to be okay. And just say, I am the outsider. It's okay for me to struggle. It is okay for you to struggle because yes, you are the outsider as of now, right? But with enough time, space and grace, you will get through this and you will be folded in to the blend, like, and it'll be totally fine. Hopefully, right? Because nothing's promised. But it's okay to be the outsider. True story. I felt like the outsider a lot early on in my stepmom journey. And I used to cry about it. Like, I would just like cry myself to sleep, or, things would happen and I'd be frustrated because I didn't get the jokes, or I didn't understand the lingo, or people would talk about other people like pre-me, whether it was, my stepkids' mom, or, vacations they took, or anything. And I was just like, I don't belong here. I don't fit in here. This isn't for me. And so you kind of like get in your head about it, and you kind of start to spiral about how I don't belong here. I'm not cut out for being a stepmom. I can't do this. And it's easy to stay there. Hello, pity party of one, your table is ready. And I used to sit at the table a lot. And then, my stepson moved in full time. We had our daughter. And then it was kind of like the glue that kept everyone together. And I was like, oh no, I don't like this. Like, I would like to go back to being the outsider. I used to think like, I can't believe that I used to cry about being the outsider, because now I wish I could go back to being the outsider and like not have anyone come and talk to me, because I felt like everyone in my family knew, like they were like on a schedule, and they knew like, okay, Alicia's done talking to that one, I'll go and talk to her. Okay, she's done talking to that one, I'll go and talk to her. So like the three of them just like ping-ponged off of me. And I've made a reel and a TikTok about this, like the overstimulation is real. 100%, it's totally real. And so once I became the glue, like that kind of held everyone together, I was like, oh no, I need out of this like situation, out of this role. I have not gotten out of that situation or out of that role. So if you ever figure out how to do that, like let me know. But yeah, it's true story for me. Like I hated being the outsider, then I became the insider, and I was like, oh, I don't want this either, right? Like all the things, balance is what it is. So it's, like I said, it's easy to get stuck in that spiral. It's easy to get, caught down and like so in the weeds about how you don't belong and all of the things. And this is where it's important for you to have support. It's important for you to have a group, a community, a friend that you can go to and just talk to about like, hey, I feel like this. Please just know that when I say a friend that you can go and talk to, please make that friend be a stepmom, because if you go and say to somebody that's not a stepmom, I feel like I don't belong, they're going to be like, you're crazy. Like, you're the adult. Like, of course you belong, all the things. But unless you're a stepmom, you don't get it. If you want help or support or validation through this, come join us inside the Stepmom Side community. We talk about things like this in there. And I love seeing it because the stepmoms are honest about what they're going through, what their emotions are. But then the stepmoms that are replying, the support that these women pour into other women, the love that they pour into them, oh my gosh, like my heart for sure. And I love the real and like the authenticity of the comments and the struggles and all of the things. Like I'm here for it, like exactly why I started the community. Okay, so we've talked about what the outsider syndrome is, why it happens. Now let's talk about how we can like get through the outsider syndrome until you feel like you're an insider, if you will. You feel like you're on the inside. The first thing that it starts with is your self-talk. And I know that's like kind of corny and kind of dorky, and that's probably not what you want to hear, but knowing that you are worthy, like I am worthy. My partner chooses me. I am strong. I am confident. I can do this. Those kinds of things. Because if you get caught in the negative spiral of, I can't do this, I don't belong here, I don't fit in, your brain, my friend, if you're multitasking, come back to me. Your brain doesn't know what's a joke and what's not. You consciously know what's a joke and what's not, but your brain doesn't. So whatever inner monologue you have, it needs to be a good one. So you need to make sure that you are speaking kindly to yourself. Speak to yourself like you would speak to another friend. So it starts with your own inner monologue, and we start to build our confidence. So we do like little things. Like when you feel like you belong, you're going to act like you belong. When you feel like you're worthy, you're going to act like you're worthy, right? And I coach stepmoms through this. So if you need coaching or if you need help like getting through this, hey, let me know. I'm here to help you. But you work on building confidence. And this isn't like snap your fingers and then all of a sudden like, I'm confident and I'm good. And I feel like an insider and I've got this and I'm all right. No. It's going to take you a while to get to that point because it's taken you a while to go down the spiral of like negative thoughts and negative talking and negative habits and negative patterns. So it's going to take you a while to come out of that. So be kind to yourself. When we start to work on your confidence, the next thing we do is we start to work on you taking up space. And I say this with a lot of love. It's really scary. It is so scary. As crazy as this sounds, if you don't have that outsider syndrome feeling, it's really scary to work on taking up space in your own house. It's really scary to go and sit in the living room and you be the one that's like got the TV and the remote. It's really scary for you to sit at the dinner table and try engaging in conversations. It's scary to, pick out one of your stepkids or, select one of them to talk to and just talk to them. Or it's really scary to start to like take up space. And here's what I mean by taking up space. I talked about like being in the living room and you being in control of the remote. Because a lot of the times when stepmoms feel like outsiders, they start to like pull back. They start to become like a recluse. Guilty as charged. I totally did this. Maybe you hide out in your bedroom and read, or maybe you hide out in your bedroom or your bathroom and like do your nails, or call a friend, or you are on the stepmom side community like posting, which we have an app now, which is amazing. So big news is the stepmom side community has an app, which makes it so freaking easy to be like, hey, this is what's going on right now. I'm hiding out in my bedroom. I'm letting you guys know X, Y, and Z. And then this, like, just watch the support come in. Or you start to schedule things only like when the kids are there. I will tell you this right now, your partner will see it. Not only will your partner see it, but the kids will see it. And it's this weird conundrum of like feeling like they are winning. It's not a competition, like let's start there. But it's this weird conundrum of like, I feel like they're winning because they get my partner all of the time and I'm the one that's going and doing whatever. You're right. When you put it like that, they are the one that's winning, if that's the word that you want to use, even though it's not a competition, because you make yourself scarce, because it's easier to avoid being around them. It's easier to avoid being with them. It's easier to avoid those uncomfortable feelings. It's easier to not look in the mirror and be like, okay, what's my part? I'm avoiding them. I'm intentionally doing this. And it's, again, that's not one of those things that just like happens overnight. It's kind of like a buildup. And then soon enough, you'll realize like, wait, I have started to intentionally not spend time around any of them. Yeah, you haven't. And so then it's scary to like get back into that uncomfortable feeling, right? You have to be comfortable getting uncomfortable in order to live as a stepmom. My gosh, it's the hardest thing. But you just have to start hanging around and being around, or like inserting yourself in conversations, not in a crazy way or not like in a bitchy way, but just like being around. Or, maybe somebody doesn't offer your opinion. Maybe you're one of those people that's like, well, I'm only going to speak when I'm spoken to. It doesn't really work. That's going to keep you in your box. That's going to keep you in that outsider syndrome feeling. And is that really what you want to do? Like, I want you to think like long term, like what is your goal? And then come back from there. Like, what are things that you could start to do now that get you to that long-term goal? So hiding out in your bedroom, is that going to get you there? Constantly scheduling things when the kids are there to not be around, is that going to get you there? No. And please hear me when I say, if you schedule things when your stepkids are home, just so you can do whatever, I'm not saying that you can never do that. I absolutely did it. But when you are consistently scheduling things only when your stepkids are there, they know, they'll see, your partner knows, they'll see as well. I'm not saying to never do it, because sometimes you can't help it, right? But you're going to keep yourself in that outsider situation, in that outsider syndrome feeling, until you start to face the music and decide, okay, I'm going to start taking back my house. I'm going to start taking up space in my place. I'm going to work on my confidence. I love that for you. Let me give you some caveats. Let me give you some disclaimers. Like I said, it's already scary. It's also going to be awkward. It's going to be so awkward, because here you've got everyone in your house knows that you leave or you do whatever, like you avoid the situation. Everyone knows that you're avoiding it. So, and that's really what it is. Everyone knows that you're avoiding it. So then now if you come in full blast, people are going to be like, what's wrong with you? Like, where did you come from? And maybe you're going to be shot down, or maybe you're going to get weird looks, or maybe you're going to get like eye rolls or an attitude, Or your partner's going to be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like 1 week you're like, I'm absolutely out. And then now the next week, like you're totally in. What is going on? Give yourself some space. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some time to like perfect this and finding that balance of how much is enough, how much is too much, how much is not enough, and trying to figure that out. And I don't know when it happens. I can't give you a timeline of like, you know what? And then after 6 months of like really trying, and not even like really trying hard, but just like actually putting in an effort, you're going to be great and you're going to like feel like an insider. I wish that I had some sort of magic potion that you could drink or some magic pill that you could take and all of a sudden feel like you're on the inside. Like that would be amazing. I don't have that. I don't know. Every family is different and it might be faster for you. It might be shorter for you. It might be longer for you. It might be easier, difficult. Like there's so many variables, but I will tell you this, recognizing that you feel like the outsider and giving yourself the grace to, okay, I feel like the outsider because I am the outsider. I'm new on this scene. And just being honest rather than being like, I don't want to be the outsider and I'm mad about that. You can be mad about that, or you can be honest with yourself and be like, okay, you know what? The reality of the situation is I am the outsider. Here's why. My partner, had kids before I showed up. And so they all know each other. I don't. Now you have to get to know everyone. It's okay that I feel like the outsider. Let's normalize that. It's okay for you to feel like the outsider. If you don't want to stay like that, then here are steps that you can do to like not do that. Start to take up space. Recognize that, first of all. Give yourself that space. Give yourself that grace. But then start to take steps to not feel like that anymore. And when you feel stuck and you feel frustrated, get support, whether it's coaching through me, I have a community that you can join as well. But just know that in the early years as a stepmom, everyone feels like an outsider. It is so awkward. It is so uncomfortable. It is so draining. It's like all of the things. It's frustrating. Like I said, I used to cry myself to sleep about it, which is like wild, right? There's so many things that I used to cry myself to sleep about that I'm like, why did I waste my time being so worried about that? But you just do. Like you just do. But yeah, so now you know what an outsider is, or like the outsider syndrome is, like little things that happen to make you feel like that. And then a few ways to like kind of get through it. But if you are going to try any of these things, or if you've tried things that work for you, send me a message on Instagram. I'm just at Alicia Krasko, and let me know like, hey, you know what? I listened to podcast episode number 56 about outsider syndrome. Here are things that I've tried that work. Or, hey, you know what? I'm going to try sitting in the living room and like being in control of the TV and trying to take up space and not being awkward about it. But let me know, because I want to be here in your corner rooting you on. But I will chat with you next week. Thanks for taking time to listen to this week's episode. If anything was helpful or resonated with you, please share it on social media and tag me. I'm just at Alicia Krasko. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and review while you're at it, that would also be really helpful. And if you find yourself struggling with your stepmom journey and you want a little bit more support without the hefty price tag of coaching, you might want to check out the Stepmom Side community, which is my own private community for stepmoms, where you get to connect with other stepmoms around the world and myself, where I hold weekly office hours and monthly group coaching. It's kind of like you have your own personal coach in your own back pocket. Again, without that hefty price tag. See you next week.